Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. This is John McDougall. I am the event coordinator here at Murder by the Book in Houston. And I'm so excited for tonight's event. But before we get into it, I just wanted to make a couple of quick store announcements for anybody who has not tuned into any of our virtual events for a while. We are open again for browsing. So if you haven't come into the store in a while and you're looking for some great recommendations, please come in and visit us. We're still limiting it to 6 people in the store at a time and asking people to wear masks. We just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. As you guys know, younger kids can't get vaccinated yet, and with summer coming up, and because we have so many patients that come and visit us from MD Anderson who are getting treatment, we just want to make sure that we're a safe, comfortable environment for everybody, regardless of kind of where they're at, kind of getting out in the world. So, but we hope that you will come see us. We do know that not everybody is getting out quite yet, so if you are still interested in curbside pickup, even though we don't have the table set up outside anymore, we are still doing that. So just give us a call when you are pulling into the parking lot or when you get parked, and we will run books out to you. It's something that we have done. We did it pre-pandemic. We'll keep doing it post-pandemic. So if you're just, in a hurry and you want to get something over the phone and have us run it out for you, we are happy to do that. I wanted to mention a couple of things that we have got coming up in the store. We are going to be chatting with David Swinson and Joseph Fender on Thursday. We've got a couple of really great cozy events coming up too, so I just wanted to mention those real quick. On June 26th, we're going to be doing 2 different Kensington cozy panels. One of them is going to be with paranormal cozies, and one of them is going to be cozies that are set in bookstores. And then we're going to be chatting with Kate Carlisle and Ellie Alexander on July 2nd. And on July 22nd, we're going to be doing an event with S.C. Perkins, Esme Addison, and Sherry Harris. So lots of really fun stuff coming up. Also wanted to mention, we just scheduled this on Wednesday, June 16th. We're going to be doing sort of a behind-the-scenes virtual event. So if you have any questions about what goes into setting up these virtual events, how we set up in-store events, how the store is adapted to book selling in the middle of a pandemic, you can ask any of those questions. It'll be McKenna, the store owner, and I, and we'll also be joined by Sarah DeVello, who runs the Mystery and Thriller Mavens Facebook page. So we hope that you guys will come hang out with us for that one as well. And I also wanted to mention, if you guys were unaware, we have recently started some subscription box services. So we have 3 different options. We have one which is Best of the Month, which we will kind of pick something that we're super excited about and ship that out. We have one that is Crime Fiction Legends, which is 2 paperbacks of books that could either be like old school classics or even kind of more contemporary things that we just want to make sure nobody missed. And then, of course, the other one is the Cozy of the Month one, which is curated by me. So if you have any questions about those, you can visit murderbythebox.com, and I will drop some links to all of that stuff in the chat once we get started. And once we get started, if you guys have questions for me or Nekesa, you can please post those in either the comments on Facebook or on the live chat on YouTube, and we will get to those in just a bit. So, but to get us started, I'm going to bring our authors out. I'm going to start with Mia Manansala. How are you tonight, Mia?
Sorry, let me unmute myself. I'm doing great, thanks.
It's so good to see you again.
Yeah, this was fun.
So
happy to celebrate Nekesa.
So Mia's book, Arsenic and Adobo, just came out about a month ago, and we did a lunch event with her as well. So if you guys missed that, you can visit the store's YouTube or Facebook channels, and you can catch that. She was in conversation with Jen McKinley and Terry Farley Morin. It was a really fun chat, so I hope you guys will check that out. Mia P. Manansala is a writer from Chicago who loves books, baking, and badass women. She uses humor and murder to explore aspects of the Filipino diaspora, queerness, and her millennial love for pop culture. She is the winner of the 2018 Hugh Holton Award, the 2018 Eleanor Taylor Bland Crime Fiction Writers of Color, the 2017 William Deeck Malice Domestic Grant for Unpublished Writers, and the 2016 Mystery Writers of America Helen McCloy Scholarship. She is also a 2017 Pitch Wars alum and a 2018 and 2019 mentor. I also wanted to mention that we do have signed book plates to go with our copies of Arsenic and Adobo, which is fantastic. So if you have not picked up copies of that, you can order those, either come visit us or order murderbooks.com, and we will have book plates to go with those. And as I said, if you have questions for me while the chat is happening, you can post those in the comments. And next, we're going to bring out Nekesa Afia. How are you tonight, Nekesa?
I'm so good. How are you? I'm so happy to be here.
Good. Congratulations on the new book and congratulations on your debut.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. It's been a real ride. I'm really happy to be here.
So we're so excited to hear you talk about Dead Dead Girls. It just came out today. We also have signed book plates for it. So if you guys order copies, we will send you a signed book plate. And I was just telling Nekesa before we got started, I'm so excited that we get to start off Pride Month with this book. It's absolutely wonderful. I loved it. I hope everybody will pick it up. So 24-year-old Nekesa Afia just started her undergrad degree, bachelor's in journalism with a minor in English, and is a publishing student. When she isn't writing, she's dancing, sewing, and trying to pet every dog she sees. She's been writing since she was a child, and this is her debut novel. So I am going to let the two of y'all get to it. Like I said, everybody watching, if you have questions, please post those in the comments, and we'll get to those in just a bit. So I will see you, Mia and Nekesa, in just a minute.
Hi, everyone. So first I'm going to read, and I really want to say that this is my first time reading with the paper copy, and I'm so excited for that. I'm going to read from chapter 2, which is where things get really kicked off. Louise, my main character, Louise Lloyd, is walking to work with her roommate / girlfriend, and she makes a startling discovery. The day that changed everything started routinely enough. Louise was wearing a black dress with low heels, ready for her long shift at Maggie's cafe. The cafe was at the epicenter of Harlem, and Louise regarded the eponymous Maggie as her second mother. Truthfully, she loved working at the cafe. She was able to have a life, the money she earned gave her freedom, and since it was a Friday, she was counting down the hours until she could return to the Zodiac. She and Rosa Maria walked together, arm in arm. Rosa Maria was wearing a light blue dress, a sparkly clip in her hair. "I want to go home," she said, a low, growling whisper. Louise shook her head. "I don't." It was about to rain, and rainy days were good for the cafe. More people wanted to stay and watch the rain fall from the window. The cafe was a perfect place to wrap up with a cup of coffee and do nothing. Doing nothing meant more small talk, which meant extra tips. The girls walked slowly. Louise's body howled from dancing the night before. She was still trying to be the first person at the cafe, which she usually was. With every step she took, her cheap shoes clacked against the concrete, her sea of her stomach shifting. "Raphael shouldn't let us drink like that," Rosa Maria said with a moan. She was always cranky when she was hungover, and she liked to blame things on her brother. "I didn't think you drank that much," Louise said, but they'd matched each other drink for drink. Louise had to stop every few steps to hold a hand over her mouth and pray she wouldn't vomit over her shoes on the sidewalk. She exhaled, straightened her spine, and pulled herself up to her full 5'2". She was Louise Lloyd. Louise Lloyd didn't vomit in public or otherwise. It felt as if the other girls they lived with had been particularly loud this morning. It was hard to compete with the girls in a full night's sleep. She had to fight for space with her housemates doing their makeup, getting dressed, swapping clothes for the day. The house was a 15-minute walk from Maggie's cafe. Louise was lucky. She lived in the same 30-block radius her entire life. It was convenient, but she couldn't help wondering what the rest of the world was like. She stopped, pulling Rosa Maria to a halt as well. There was someone lying in front of the door of the cafe. "Is she okay?" Rosa Maria asked. Louise stepped closer, her heart skittering in her chest. The girl was much younger than Louise. She wore a black dress with intricate white beading. A string of pearls dangled around her neck. Her arms were spread wide, and her right hand held a rectangular card with the Virgin Mary on it. The girl's eyes stared blankly at the sky. Her black skin was colorless. She was dead.
All right, Nekesa, way to kick it all off.
Oh, thank you.
So, of course, I want to start. Huge congratulations. We've been waiting for this day. So, just to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit, like, what exactly is Dead Dead Girls about, and how does it feel now that your book is out in the world and it's real and people have it?
It is the wildest feeling ever. For like the past year, I've been like picking up random books on my bookshelf and being like, one day this will be my book. This will be my book one day. Because I'm a big nerd. And just to like see the book that I wrote and like all the love and all the work I put into it as like a physical thing, it's amazing. So Dead Dead Girls is a Prohibition era mystery. I've been billing it as a mystery wherein a tiny, tired lesbian is extorted into solving crime, which is a really apt description of the whole book. So it's about this girl, Louise Lloyd, who is tiny and tired and lesbian, and she's vibing and living her life, but these girls in Harlem are going missing and they're going dead. So when she gets arrested one night, she's given an ultimatum, and she can either solve the case or go to jail, and she has to take the case because she's not going to go to jail.
All right. So you said it's Prohibition era, so obviously this is historical. What kind of research did you do for this book?
I did a lot of research. I'm lucky here in Toronto to have a reference library, which is filled with absolutely everything I could ever have needed. So I read a lot of books on how Prohibition was supposed to work, and then it didn't work, and then it was a huge flop, a horrible idea all around, really, fight me. And then just like the small minutiae of a woman who lived in 1926, like what did she wear? Where did she work? What did she eat? What did she drink? She doesn't eat. And just like everything that like goes into being a person, I had to look all that up. I had to be sure of everything. So it was a lot of research, but it was really, really rewarding research.
Okay, but for you, what was the most fun thing to research? Like the most interesting for you?
The most fun was the clothes, obviously. And the most interesting was the poisons. I bought a whole book about poison, specifically in New York in the 20th century, which is really specific, and I'm glad it exists, and it really came in handy.
Oh, to say like, wow, that is an oddly specific. So poisons that existed in 1920s in New York specifically.
Yeah, in the 19th century. So it's like all of the 20th century, the 20th century even. I don't know how to do math. It's fine.
I mean, that's why we're writers, right? Like,
yeah,
that's
right.
The point. So then, like, right. In the course of your research, was there something that you found what you thought was just like so cool, but you couldn't really like fit it into the story itself?
Yeah, so I got really into old-timey murders. And there's like so many like fascinating cases. Like in 1922, this guy who was a director, this was Hollywood's first big murder case. William Desmond Taylor like was found dead, but he was lying on his back, and everyone thought that, oh, he just died of natural causes one night. But no, when they rolled him over, there was like a shot in his back, and like he was murdered. And then it was revealed that before he became like this huge Hollywood director, he was William Dean Tanner, and he had like this whole life, and he had like a family. And then in 1912, he just disappeared, and his wife and daughter did not know what happened to him until they saw him on screen in the movie theater. They're like, "Isn't that okay? He's alive. That's fine."
That is wild.
Yeah, I love that story.
I mean, again, that's also one of those things that it had to be historical. Like now, like trying to disappear like that would be so difficult, thanks, to technology and all that. But
yeah, he's like just dipped one day and then just came back in a whole different part of the country with a whole different name. And I was like, this is good. It's insane. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know another thing that we talked about when you were doing research was also the slang of the era. So like, did you have like a particular like phrase that you loved or like something in the book that you really hope people like they would catch on again?
Yeah. At one point, this isn't spoiler, but Louise and Raphael and Rosa Maria at art club, and Louise like gets up and excuses herself by saying, "Oh, I have to iron my shoelaces," which is a great way of saying that she has to go to the bathroom. I love it. I'm going to start using it all the time.
Iron my shoelaces.
Yeah,
okay.
Gotta go iron your shoelaces. And then there's bearcat, which is probably my favorite like slang term ever. It is a fiery or vivacious or hot-blooded young woman. And I really feel like that encapsulates the era and like the type of woman I want to like write in the era. And then there's like the classics, like the bee's knees, the elephant's eyebrows, the cat's pajamas. I love slang. I do love the slang.
I know, like seeing you like you were doing on Instagram, and you were sharing the slang of her. I'm like, this is so much fun.
Yeah, cash or check. Check.
All right then. So what was the inspiration for the book? Why historical? Why in the U.S.? Because you're in Canada. So like, what made you choose this era, this setting, this particular character, etc.?
Okay, so I started writing it in my senior year of university, and we were like, it was a history class. So it's called Sex and the City, And we were talking about the Prohibition era, but even earlier than that, we were talking about like the mid to late 1800s in like London and in the States as well. And we're talking about Jack the Ripper, and so that's the case in the book is based on Jack the Ripper, but I put it in the 1920s because I love the 1920s. It's just an era of so much growth and so much change, and I've said it in Harlem just because when I think of Black culture, what automatically comes to mind is Harlem. The Harlem Renaissance, all the music, all the writing, all like the dancing, all the shows, like everything that happened in that era was like Black culture. And it was just a way to like come back to my roots, and it was a way to kind of explore it in a different way. So
yeah. I can't believe you started this like your senior year of college. Like I'm trying to think of like my last year of university, and I was like, never. I never would have been able to pull it together to write a whole novel.
Well, technically I didn't. So it was a National Novel Writing Month project, NaNoWriMo. So I wrote the bulk of it in like November, and then I didn't touch it till after I graduated. Also, sorry, the bio that John read is outdated. Sorry, John. But yeah, so like I just was waking up at 4 a.m. I was writing for an hour, then I was going to school, then doing my schoolwork, then coming home and doing my homework, and then writing before I went to bed, which is exhausting. And then it turns out like when you write a novel in a month, it's not a good novel. So it takes some time to rewrite and some time to edit. So it's been a really long labor of love, but I'm so proud of it.
So about how long did it take you from like the NaNoWriMo, like, you know, first draft to when you started to query and so on? Like, what was your path to publication like?
So I started writing it in November of 2016. And then I was like writing it off and on through then until about 2019. Or what year is it? 2021? Yeah. 2019. Yeah. So 2019 in January was when I started query and I got my agent. And then in like the June, I think, of that year, I got my book deal. I think I'm not remembering that one. Oh, yeah. Or like it was like the summer of that year where I got my book deal. So it was like really fast, but it was also really perfect. So yeah, it was just like a lot of like behind the scenes work. And like I did like all my research before finding an agent, and like I made like a whole list of like people who are like in my genre, who I was interested in. And yeah, so it was like a very like standard path. And yeah.
I mean, the only difference being like it's your first novel. Like most people don't get an agent with their first novel. If you do get an agent first novel, sometimes you don't sell that novel, and you have to work on something. You know, speaking for myself.
Yeah. Technically, it's not like my first novel. Before this, I wrote a pretty awful contemporary romance, and then it was so bad. I wish I didn't have to think about it, but I do sometimes.
Well, I guess that was gonna be like my next question. It's like, you know, is this the first book you've written? So like did you always know you were gonna write a mystery? Like what other genres or time periods are you interested in? I've
definitely been writing like historical fiction for a while, and like even like mysteries too for a while. Something that just popped into my head was maybe the winter of like 2015 or like the summer of 2015, I was like writing this historical mystery that took place in Chicago, and is about like this down on his luck detective and like the woman who fell in love with him. I'm not going to spoil it because I might want to rewrite that. But yeah, so I've always had an interest in mysteries, and I've always had an interest in period pieces. I am a classic movie hoe. I will watch any classic movie you put in front of me. So it's just like a combination of like all my interests, and like that's how this happened.
So what is it about like like you said, the classic movies? What is it that catches your attention about that style?
Oh God, I wish I knew. I've always been fascinated with it. I've always been weirdly fascinated with the past, even though like racism was a thing, and racism wasn't that great, especially in the 1920s when the KKK was back and even worse than ever. I've always just, even like when I was like younger, whenever I like wanted to watch a movie, I'd be like, oh, let's watch West Side Story. Musicals and old things. That's what I like. And I've been this person for a very long time.
So just like an old soul, basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer. I think this is just the way I was born.
Oh, that's fine. That makes sense. So speaking of also, so you mentioned how both you and Lou love dancing. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you could choose only like one song, maybe two, like one for you, one for Lou, let's be fair, like that you think is like the best song to dance to, what would they be?
Oh God. Okay, I was actually just listening to my historically accurate Dead Dead Girls playlist, which is on Spotify, and it's in my book club kit. Thank you very much. So I think I want to say, for me, definitely any version of Putting on the Ritz is something I'd love to dance to, and I'll dance to every time. Lou also likes fast-paced songs. She does not like the waltz. So if I had to pick one for her, there's one on that playlist called 5'2", Eyes of Blue. I love that song too, and it's very high tempo, very cute, very Charleston-y, and I think she'd love that song. I know she'd love that song. I know she would.
Of course, right? Yeah. So then, like, do you have like a favorite style of dance? Or...
Yeah. So when so actually just after I started writing this novel, I started learning how to swing dance, like Lindy Hop. And that's comprised of Charleston and 6-count and 8-count. And I love the Charleston. I'll do the Charleston forever. Every variation of it, every little kick, every little twirl, every little step. I love the Charleston so much. And every time like the band like kicks up one, I'll be like in the middle of the dance floor, like hands in the air, like kicking. Oh man, I miss dancing so much.
So swing dance, like, did you also do like, would you be partner dance? Like,
yeah,
they lift you in the air and stuff like
I
that?
mean, not like aerials, not like that, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of partner stuff too. And I competed a couple times, well, once, and I did one show. And then,
really?
So then, yeah.
Well, hopefully, you know, in the after times, you'll be able to get back to that.
I hope so.
And so, speaking of dancing, the club, I think, is it the Zodiac? I think.
Yeah, it's Zodiac.
Okay,
yeah.
so you know, Lou spends a lot of time there with Raphael and Rosa Maria, both of whom I love. May nothing ever happen to them. I'm just saying.
I think that if I ever hurt Raphael Moreno, everyone would come pitchforks. He is everybody's favorite, and I understand.
He's my beloved, like, chaos lazy gay. Like, he's the best. Like, you need that. Like, I don't know, like, he's chaos and he's lazy. He manages to be like both. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, nor do I. It's actually really impressive of him. He should be studied.
So the Zodiac. So again, like one of the things I really loved so much about the book is it's so atmospheric. You know, like you said, like with the settings and the fashion and the time period and the dancing, it felt so real. So like with the Zodiac, that club, is it based on like a real place, or was this just you like bringing your imagination to the forefront?
That's me totally bringing my imagination to life. I kind of like tried to like look up like old examples of speakeasies, but then I was like, I'm gonna make it up and it's gonna be the best thing in the world. But I did name it after the Zodiac Killer, which is a tiny bit of trivia that no one yet has picked up on.
I was like wondering about that, and I was like, nah. Okay.
Of course, never. That's not coincidental. I really do anything coincidentally.
Mm-hmm. So then, so you seem to have like a fascination with like serial killer stories.
Yeah, low-key.
Okay.
Low-key, yeah.
So what is it about that? Because you said you like Jack the Ripper was kind of the inspiration for this. Mm-hmm. You named the club after the Zodiac Killer. What is it about like serial killers in particular that you find interesting?
It's just the psychology of it. Like, I just find it like really fascinating how like this could just happen, you know? I constantly listen to like true crime podcasts. I constantly like am reading about like missing persons and unsolved murders. So it's like the whole world of like, this person killed someone or this person killed a lot of people. Why did they do that? Of course, with Jack the Ripper, the case isn't solved, so we don't know. And nor is Zodiac actually, but I do believe that he just wanted some attention.
So it's like not just a serial killer, it's also like the unsolved mystery.
Yeah, I love a good unsolved mystery. Although they do drive, like I've always loved a mystery, but they do drive me a little bit bonkers. It's just because it's a puzzle. I've always loved puzzles. And that's like in almost every facet of my life. I sew, and like sewing is a puzzle. Writing is a puzzle. Mysteries are a puzzle. Everything's a puzzle.
Right. And I guess, yeah, like the unsolved, like they're the most interesting because you want to solve them yourself, but it's like completing an actual like jigsaw puzzle and you're missing a piece because you're just like, well, now what, right? So I can see how that's frustrating, but it's also fascinating.
Yeah, I'm like binging like unsolved mysteries. I'm like, I could solve this mystery. No, I cannot. It happened 20 years before I was born.
Let's see now. So, unfortunately, both of us, we've had to have our big debuts, in the middle of a panini. So we didn't get to have like the big blowout celebrations that we were probably envisioning when we first, not even when we first saw the book. I'll be honest, when I first started writing, I was already planning my launch party, and I feel like we're both a little bit extra like that.
Oh, we definitely are.
So if you could plan just like the perfect like dead girls party, what would it involve?
Oh my god, it would definitely involve a live band, huge dance floor. Live band obviously playing all the swing hits of the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, just for variety's sake. Open bar, obviously. We want people to be lit and have fun.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll just have, there'd also be a donut wall. Not for any particular reason. I just love donuts.
A donut wall. So like not even like a table, but like an entire wall.
Yeah, like a whole ass wall of donuts. We're dreaming big here.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not saying like don't stop. I wanted to clarify to make sure I heard you correctly.
Like a champagne fountain. And also like the bar would have like custom cocktails. All named after like characters of the book. It would be so fun. And I wish we could do that. But instead we are in a pandemic Lovato.
I mean, it's fun. Like there's going to be a book 2, yes? So
yes, there's going to be a Lu 2. There's going to be a whole last Luniverse if I have anything to say about it. So I'm hoping that like the world clears up by next spring, I think, and we can party. We can vibe.
It gives you just more time to plan that perfect party, right?
Yes.
Contact, your live bands, get your parents, get a hall, get that donut wall going. Yes. I'll come to Canada for that. You think I will?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'd say you could stay with me, but I live in a studio, so you cannot.
It's all right. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Bring your dogs.
All right. So you said something about like a whole Lu-verse, which I am all about. Like Big Daddy Berkeley, I hope you're listening. We all love Lu. We need more than just 2 books, please. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
But so Lu-verse, do you see this like in a different format, like a movie, a TV show, a live Broadway play, etc.? Like, what do you think would be the best format? How would you want to see it?
I definitely see it as like a mini series on like HBO or Hulu or Netflix. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this lately, to the point where I'm like dreamcasting it in my head. And that is Netflix if you're watching, or Hulu if you're watching. Call me up because I would love to. There's some rights I would love to sell to you. But yeah, so like I think it just works so well as like a TV show. I'd love to be behind the scenes doing the costumes because I'm very finicky about that. Obviously.
Right.
And yeah, I just think it'd be so cool as like a TV show or as a graphic novel too, I think.
Ooh, okay, that's an interesting twist. So why TV show over movie?
I'm not a huge movie person. I just prefer TV shows for reasons that make sense to me, but I cannot articulate them. I just like there's just something about a TV show where you can just like it's done and then it's like an hour and then I can move on. I think it's because I'm low key chaotically ADHD. Like sitting through like a hour and a half or 2-hour movie is really hard. But if you like break it up into chunks, it's fine. So that's why I'm like thinking like miniseries, and then like with like a 10-episode miniseries, it could be like in, out, done.
Yeah, I like that. Well, especially because like I said, like I think one of the strongest parts is obviously Lu, the characters Lu, Rosa Maria and Raphael, but also like the world that you built. Like it would just be so, I don't know, like sumptuous. Does that feel right? Like, like just seeing that world like on the screen and giving Lu the time to like really build it out and as opposed to like trying to cram everything within like 2 hours.
Yeah. And like with the like TV series, we could really like stretch it out. We could spend time. We could like maybe expand on story points and expand on characters that don't really get page time in the book because there's a mystery to solve. But there's more freedom in a TV show too, I think, and that's important. And I'd love to be I'd love to like do like a cameo in the TV show too. I'd love to be like a lounge singer. Not that I can sing that well. Actually, I can totally sing that well. Netflix, if you're listening, totally can. Totally
like, yes,
skilled.
of course.
Can totally sing. Please let me do this.
Yeah, I would love to, as someone who is all about family drama, like being able to like delve a little bit more into Lou's family and like the issues she has with her father and her relationship with her sisters and things like that. So like when you were coming up with Lou, because when we see it, Lou almost seems like she's alone all the time because she's in a boarding house for women. She does have that partnership with Rosa Maria, but when it comes to the family, things are very tense, shall we say.
Yeah, she's the white sheep of her family. She's the white sheep of her family. She didn't really want to conform to what her father said for her. The sister directly under her, Minna, is like the polar opposite of her. She is she's like gotten married young and she has a child and she's doing like exactly what she wants, like what their father wanted her to do. But Lou's like more, I want to say ambitious, but like that doesn't mean that Minna's not ambitious. She just has different goals in life. Lou just wants to like see the world and kiss her girlfriend and totally vibe, which I think is totally valid of her. And I think that it's not something she's really talked to like with her dad, because she can't be like, oh, hey dad, I'm gay. That can't happen. So she has to like kind of make ends meet elsewhere. And she's really, really protective of her youngest sisters because she thinks that they can also have the world if they want to take it. And she really wants them to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, like that family drama, like that tension, and just like, oh, like, your heart breaks for her because you can feel that she loves them so much, but like just the way that there's always that miscommunication. There's words that can't be said, or words when they are said, they're misunderstood. So, yeah, I really felt for her when I read, those how, again, TV series, would love to see that expanded. I would love more of that family drama.
And we could totally delve into like her little found family with Rosa Maria and Raphael. I love those three. They're ultimate squad goals.
And also, I mean, like, again, Pride Month, found family is just such a familiar trope for queer people, queer writers. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the found family is so strong? Because
I think it's always important to like find people who accept you for who you are, and like your bio family may not be that person, those people for you, but like the friends you met at school, or the friends you met at work, or the friends you even met online, because I have online friends and I love you guys. Just like if you have something like really major, like being like gay in common, that's something like that other people can relate to and other people will connect with. And I think that found family is really important, especially for support and for love and for other emotions that you like might not get from like your bio family, like Lou doesn't. Not really.
Mm-hmm. Right, since we're on like the topic of tropes, like, do you have any tropes that like you absolutely love and or absolutely hate? It doesn't have to be mystery specific, but I mean, if you can kind of,
most of the tropes like I really love are like romance tropes, which like I kind of can't get into mystery, but like fake dating, enemies to lovers. I'm gonna write a spy flick one day, like a spy novel, and it's gonna be like these two people who have to pretend to be married to like get the thing done. It's like fake marriage and there's only one bed. Oh no, there's only one bed. And like and like the found family trope is huge. The trope of, I don't know if this is a trope, but the fact that Lou just wants to live her life is really important to me. I don't think that's a trope, but that's really important to me. And I always try to like have the right characters with really strong personalities. I don't really love like the strong female character trope where it's like, oh, she is exactly like the man, but she has breasts and a vagina. Like that's just so lame to me. So like I really tried to like make Lou, but all of my women characters were really complex and really like strong in different ways. And I hope I did that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, because the strong female character, it's like, well, if you're just divining strength with masculine, traditionally masculine characteristics, so what are you trying to say about what strength means and how women are supposed to be able to wield it, right?
Yeah, and I also think there's like so many different ways to be strong, but you also don't particularly have to be strong. You can be resourceful, you can be brave, you can be plucky, you can have loads and loads of moxie like Lou does. So it's not all one thing, and I do try to like make sure that my characters are all human and all relatable.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that, because I think it'd be easy to see, like, so in like in my books, like the Tita Rosie character, her aunt, could easily be seen as someone who's a pushover or weak or just wants people, but at the same time, it's like she's resilient,
Yeah.
right? She does what it takes to keep her family together, and even when her family fell apart, she knew she did what it takes to keep on going. And like, I think resilience, especially for people of color and women of color in particular, is something that's not really talked about as much.
I want to make a Hamilton reference. I will make a Hamilton reference. I think we all know
Hamilton reference.
Immigrants. We get the job done.
Yeah. So
and I think resilience is a huge thing, and like persistence as well. Persistence is so important because you keep trying and you keep going at it, and like it may not be like the same thing over and over again, but you might find different avenues and you might find different ways to do something. So yeah, resilience and persistence is so important, and basically everyone, but mostly people of color.
Yeah,
but everyone.
Also, you said like resourcefulness, right? Because you know, like one, that they get a mystery, but these are mysteries that are being solved, you know, by women of color who don't come from means. You know, like I will go on the record. I do love Phryne Fisher. I know we have some issues because she's a little too perfect. I know we have things, but you know, when you're not the super rich, swoop in and save the poor, you know, like you have to be able to be resourceful and kind of solve the mystery on your own or solve your own problems. So I think, like you said, resourcefulness is not something we think of enough when it comes to mystery.
And like Phryne Fisher just starts solving crime because she wants to. And she's like, I'm bored one day. Let's solve 4 mysteries in one book. Sorry, I do have a lot of feelings about the series. I won't get into it. But Liv's like extorted into it, and it's like this or like jail. Like, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna do the rational choice and take the case, even though I don't want to do this. And like, she doesn't have a choice there. And I feel like it's really different, like coming from like those two like angles, because given the choice, Liv would not want to solve a mystery. She would want to do literally anything else. I think that's important to realize that she's not a good detective. She doesn't want to be a good detective, and yet here she is having to be a detective.
It's weird to think about, but there's a sense of privilege, right? To just be like, yeah, you know what? I am going to purposely insert myself into a police investigation and not expect repercussions or consequences to come upon me because, you know, I'm white, I'm aristocratic, you know, I have money, all these different things.
And like
are very different for Lou and other characters.
Like Liv would never dream of like swanning up to the police and be like, I'm gonna take this case over. Because she literally can't. She literally cannot do that. She is focused on survival of herself first. Every other Black girl in her home second. Like that's what's important to her. And just like even the idea of like willingly being like, I'm going to go solve a case now. This will be very fun, and it will be wrapped up by afternoon tea. Is a very different. It's like a very different like vibe and a very different like world than from like what Lou is. Even though I think the years are very similar.
I mean, yeah, and again, like, you know, some people would say like, oh, she's being selfish. Like, you know, survival isn't selfish. You know, and Lou, above all else, is a survivor. There are things in her past where, you know, maybe it's not super ridiculous that the police are coming to her specifically to, you know, blackmail her into doing this case. There are things that she's had to overcome that lead to her actually being somewhat of a good detective and
And like the major reason why she's chosen is because she's a young Black girl, young Black woman in Harlem, and she can like get into places where the police can't, and she can talk to the like the potential victims in ways that the police can't, and she has access to places that the police just don't have. The main detective on this case is a white Brit who's like really tall and also really handsome, holla. but like he doesn't have that access, and like he's being shut out at every turn. So it's actually really like clever of him to be like, oh, well, we need someone on our side. And then he sees Lou, and maybe he recognizes Lou and goes, oh, well, she can do it.
All right, so let's do maybe like one last question, and we can kind of turn it over to the audience.
Okay, cool.
So, I didn't prep you ahead of time, and I'm sorry because I already know I always blank when I get this question. What have you been reading and loving lately?
Okay, well, luckily, I just finished a book like 2 nights ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's called My Sweet Girl. It's by Amanda Giatisa. I probably said that wrong again. Amanda, sweetie, I'm so sorry. She's a fellow Berkeley, and like that book kept me up. I kept being like, okay, I should go to bed after this chapter, and then like something in my head was like, no, we're gonna keep reading. And it's like it was just one of those things where it's like I had to figure out what was going on. I've only really been reading like other like Berkeley books. So another couple bangers that are coming out is of course At Summer's End by Courtney Ellis, another Prohibition. I was going to say era mystery, but no, it's just a Prohibition era book, which was fantastic, and I loved it. Yours was good, Arsenic and Adobo. There's that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm trying to remember like what else I've read lately. I read Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. 1950s San Francisco teenage lesbians. I was like, I'm so here for this. This is the queer book I totally wanted when I was younger. And For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. I got an arc of it, and it was so good. It was another one of those books that I was like, I'm not putting this book down. I need to see what happens. Samantha Downing is such a good writer. Like, oh my God.
I've been like so behind in my reading. Like, I'm sorry, Berkeley, and I have all these arcs on there. Well, because like I can't, like when I'm drafting and writing, I don't like to read because I don't want other people's words like getting in my head and affecting me. But like, am I ever not writing?
Yeah, right. Like I'm
like,
always
oh, no.
I'm always writing something. Yeah, I'm always really like I'm trying to like make the conscious efforts to like read more. And now that's like I realize I'm always writing. So like. Mm-hmm. So like the way I'm like kind of marrying it is like I'm not like gonna read something in like my chosen decade right now because like what if something like comes up similar? But I can read anything else. So it's been good. It's been fun.
That makes sense. I mean, like that's why I've been reading a lot of like contemporary romance because I'm just like, okay, this is different enough.
Yeah.
Like there are some things that can give me ideas, but it's very much not what I'm writing, so it's fine. Although I did read the first chapter of My Sweet Girl, like you mentioned. Which I'm not supposed to be because I'm on deadline. I literally,
man, no.
Because I have the Kindle app on my phone, I literally had to put the phone in a different room, close that door, and then come back to my office just so I'd be like, get to your edits. But Amanda, I'm already sucked in, and I'm like, 2 more weeks, and I can finally read this book. So I can't wait.
Amanda, if you want to teach me how to write, I totally love that. Thanks, Amanda. She's not watching this. She lives in Sri Lanka. She's asleep.
I know. I know. It's like 2 a.m. over there. Mm-hmm. All right, then. John, you would come back. There's any questions?
Yes. So before we get into questions, I have 2 things. One, I want to say, I think you guys both have like, at least my permission, like throw your big launch party when the next book comes out. You know, we all get a do-over. So like take your launch party. I am so here for like a donut wall and an open bar. Like have your launch parties.
John, you're totally invited. Come up.
Just a glass of champagne in one hand and like donuts in the other.
Yeah.
So Mia, before we get into questions, can you tell everybody a little bit about Arsenic and Adobo?
Oh, sure. So Arsenic and Adobo is my debut novel. It is a culinary cozy mystery centered around Lila Macapagal, a young Filipino-American woman from a fictional Midwestern town. She moves to Chicago to try to make big things happen for herself, but due to some disastrous relationship choices she made, she kind of comes back to her hometown to lick her wounds and is also tasked with saving her aunt's failing restaurant. While she's there, she meets up again with her high school sweetheart, who is now the town's vindictive food critic. And one day, mid-meal, mid-review, he passes out and dies, and she becomes the main suspect in his murder.
Perfect. You had that elevator pitch down. That's excellent.
I mean, like I've learned because it's either like practice that or babble for like 5 minutes and be like, "You want my book, right?" Like that sounds good.
That's why I've been like, oh, it's a mystery where a tiny tired lesbian is extorted into solving crime because 1, that hooks you, but 2, if I don't have that to say, I will be talking for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, like it's a wonderful pitch. I'm like, tiny tired lesbian extorted into solving a murder. Tell me more.
So Elizabeth wants to know, and I'm going to kick this for both of you, but we're going to start with Nekesa. Why did you pick an amateur detective instead of an older, more seasoned sleuth?
Oh, that's a great question, Elizabeth. I just thought it'd be more fun, to just kind of like, I'm obviously not a detective. So I thought it'd be fun to like kind of get into it with her and like try to see if like I too could solve a crime, which I'm pretty sure I could now. Not to brag you guys, but I could totally be a detective. I have a magnifying glass in my bag, obviously. And like, and I also feel like if she's an amateur, then she has places to like grow and she has room to grow. Whereas if I feel like if she's more established, then it's like, oh, then she's just more established. But I really want to have a character that will grow as I write her and will grow as like the books carry on. And like, that's basically why I chose the amateur sleuth.
How about you, Mia?
Yeah, same. I mean, first of all, like amateur sleuth and PIs are kind of my favorites to read in general. But I really like her being an amateur means that she's gonna make mistakes. Because unlike Nekesa, research is not my favorite thing. So it's just like, oh, if I made a mistake, it makes sense because she's just like, a 25-year-old cookie baker. Of course she wouldn't know that, right? It makes sense for her to, but it really is like the room to grow. Like fingers crossed that this is a long-running series, right? And she needs to be able to change enough per book that she's not super static, but at the same time, you can go from book to book and you still get a feel for her as a character. So I needed her to be old enough to have, a set point of view, but also young enough where she thinks she knows everything. Mm-hmm. She will act like she knows everything, and life will smack her down because of that kind of attitude.
Yeah. And I think one of the fun things about amateur sleuths too is like they can get away with so much more. With police work or PIs, there's a very specific set of rules they're supposed to follow. But with an amateur sleuth, you can just like, oh yeah, I'm going to insert myself in this, or I'm going to go run here and talk to this person whether I should, or I'm going to sneak into somebody's apartment while they're not out, and that gives you so much more room to be able to kind of play with that stuff. So Joseph wants to know, so he says, wasn't there a lot of homophobia back in the 1920s? And before you get into your answer, I wanted to say, one of the things that I loved so much about Dead Girls is that, yes, this was not a happy time for queer people and queer characters, and yes, there were issues. But so I feel like a lot of times when people start writing historical fiction and they come at it from a queer perspective, they somehow think that because it's historical, like it all has to just be like tragedy and sad. And I loved so much that was not. I thought you found a perfect job, or you found a perfect balance of kind of acknowledging that it wasn't easy, but also not like just making it all hardship for them.
Yeah. So like, not only was it like super taboo to be like not straight, it was illegal. So it's always the part of Lou that she has to hide, but like she's lucky to be in love with like an incredible woman who just lives across the hall. And they're lucky enough to like just be able to like sneak little moments of like intimacy, like in the like first chapter they're like riding in the back of the cab and like Lou like just interlocks her pinkies and it's really, really cute. Yeah. So like LGBTQ people have existed forever. And just because it was illegal doesn't mean we weren't there breathing and totally living our lives. And I think it's really important to represent other sexualities and other like races in historical fiction. And just like she was born gay, like that's just who she was. She was born gay, and like I couldn't fight that. Like I can't take it away from her, and I can't fight that. So it was really, really fun being able to like make her the tiny tired lesbian that she is.
And the same thing, like so like yes, it was harder being a person of color at that time. Yes, it was harder being queer, but there was always joy. There was always love.
Yeah.
All right. Just because there was the hardship was there didn't also mean that there weren't lighter, sweeter moments. And as we said earlier, like Lou wants to survive. Lou wants to be happy.
Yeah.
Lou just wants to be. And I agree with John. I kind of love that.
Yeah, so it was really important to me that I gave her like an established love interest, someone that she like has been in love with forever, someone that she like really knows. And I feel like just like that strength and like the bond they have was like really important to me. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about titles. So was Dead Dead Girls the title that you started with, or were there other options that you went through?
So when I queried it, oh God, when I queried it, it was under the title Some Like It Hot, which is my third favorite Marilyn Monroe movie. It's not my favorite. Gentleman Prefers Blonde, then How to Marry a Millionaire, then Some Like It Hot. But I just really like the title, and I feel like it really encapsulated 1926 summer of New York, which was like unseasonably warm, like really warm, like triple Fahrenheit digits, like through the summer, through like June. Yes, I had to look up the weather of the summer. But my agent was like, well, that reminds me of the movie. I went, that's valid, because I got it from the movie. So actually, he came up with the title. My agent, Travis Pennington, came up with the title, and that was it. It's been Dead Dead Girls ever since.
Awesome. How about you, Mia? Were there other titles that you guys were considering for Arsenic and Adobo?
Yeah, so when I queried it, and even when I sold it, it had a different title. It was originally Love, Lost, and Lumpia. So so the Filipino food was still part of it. But my editors rightfully said that that's a great title, but it doesn't really speak mystery to us. And we want people to kind of look at it, see that title, and know exactly what it is. So like I kind of went back and I followed, I came with a bunch of different things, but I tried to go like punny with it, but like it's kind of hard to pun with Filipino food. People don't really know what that is. So I went with the alliteration route, where I've seen a lot of like crime word, and then I'm following that pattern right now.
Awesome. And let's talk covers. You guys both have such great graphic, wonderful covers. So Nekesa, did you have any input on the cover? I know that you're such a fan of fashion. Like, did you have any input on like the dress that's on it or anything?
Yeah, so I was actually like super lucky because I got way more input on my cover than I thought I would. One day I was totally just living my life, and my editor emails me and she goes, "Oh, here are 2 sketches for the cover," and I dropped everything and I screamed really loudly, and then like I took like a long look at both. I went, okay, well, I like this one, and this was the one I chose. Obviously, well, it's on the cover, so yeah, this is the one I chose. And then like a couple days later, she came back with a few color options for me. And later, like some that had like contrasting colors, and then like one was pink, I think, and one was green, I think. But the blue really spoke to me. I really like blue, obviously. I really just loved how the colors of this cover went together. And my cover artist is named Emily Leonard, and she went all the way off. She saw this brief and she went, "I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it," and I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for her work.
And how about you, Mia? Did you have any input in your cover?
Yeah, like Nekesa said, I was actually really surprised at how much input they let us give. So this is technically like the 3rd version of the cover, but it was like minor tweaks and elements. So this was always kind of like the general idea, even the colors, because I didn't even see a sketch. Like they just like dropped in a full color cover, and it's like, let us know what you think. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was like small things, just like more like cultural elements. So it was so I asked them to add like the spoon and fork in the background, because like traditionally a lot of like Filipino houses and restaurants have like these giant wooden spoon and forks hanging. I asked to add like the rice bowl and the arsenic bottle, because before it didn't have those. And even with that title, I thought if you first looked at it, you couldn't tell it was a mystery necessarily, right? You just see like a woman cooking and you see a cute dog. But like if you just look off to the side and it's like, oh, what's up with that? Like, why is that? So I wanted that kind of element. I had them like change like the pot to a wok, but like again, these were just like, I'm being picky, please don't hate me, but go off. And my cover designer was Vian Nguyen. She designed this one. She also designed book 2, which I also love. So yeah, they are killing it at Berkeley with our covers. We are so lucky.
We really are. And the process for like the cover like selection was something that was just so fun for me. I like got the whole family in the group chat. I was like, okay, what do you guys think of this? And then they all chose. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something else. Thanks. Yeah. Hi, family.
Yeah. I mean, like, and this is not just me paying lip service. Like, I obviously love my cover. Like, I put it on everything. Like, I'm
big freaking mood. Yeah, let me phone case.
Yep.
And of course, my lock screen.
So Lynn wants to know, Nekesa, will there be a dog in book 2?
Yeah, there is. No, there's not a dog in book 2. Book 2, I can't speak much about it, but it takes place a few months after this one, and there is some new people. There's a character I really, really love, and you'll know them the moment you meet him. I really, really love book 2. I'm really, really excited. But no, there's not a dog in book 2. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lynn.
So I had a process question. So when you're writing, Nekesa, are you a plotter or a pantser?
Ooh, I used to be like a pantser for Dead Dead Girls specifically, since it was a NaNoWriMo novel. I was definitely like a pantser. I was definitely like waking myself up at 4 a.m. being like, okay, let's write. And then like I wrote for an hour and then went, that's good, next. But now I like to have like a little bit of a plan, not too much of a plan, but a little bit of a plan. Just so I kind of know where I'm going with it. So that's like kind of what I'm trying to do right now with like what I'm working on. So like if there's too much of a plan, I'll feel trapped. But if there's like not enough of a plan, I'll go somewhere totally different than what I want. It's a balancing act. It's like a tightrope. I'm nailing it. Nailing it.
I've heard somebody, I can't remember who it is, describe kind of that similarly, like that they're kind of a headlights writer, like where they need to know like as far as the headlights are going to shine and illuminate, so they know where they're going, and then like beyond that they'll figure it out.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I don't drive, but yeah, that makes sense. It's just like that far in front of me, like the next chapter and a half.
Yeah. How about you, Mia?
I'm a little bit more of a plotter. This is like people are gonna like I can't believe she said it. So I started writing both like the book jacket blurb, like what you would use in a career, the book jacket blurb, and then also like a short synopsis before everything I write now, just because it kind of helps guide me. Like even if it's wrong, I kind of want to know where I'm going, because I'm the kind of person where the blank page scares me. And I can be a bit of a perfectionist. And so like the idea of setting down words that are like not good is just like, I can't. So I need to know at least like going in, what is supposed to happen here. Okay, let me just get it all down, move forward. I can make it better later, but I need something on the page to help me like get over like that weird, like it's all mental blocks, but it's like a weird fear of the page.
Okay, so last question before we head out. So you guys are both, Mia, your book has been out for about a month now. Nekesa, your book has just come out today. What is something about kind of the process of publishing and now having your book out in the world that surprised you in a fun way? Let's start with Nekesa.
This is so like very like shallow, but like the idea of like my book being on like a shelf. My province is in lockdown, so I haven't been able to go to like Indigo or anywhere. But like people have been sending like photos of like, oh look, your book is on the table. I'm like, that's crazy to me. It's just like the whole thing of like I wrote this book. I mostly made it up. Thanks, Jack the Ripper, for all of your work. And just the fact that like there's even a tiny bit of this book that people can relate to, that people like want to like read, and then like they'll recommend it to their friends, and like they'll recommend it to like their friends. All of it's just been the wildest thing outside of my wildest dreams, and I'm so pleased. I'm so chuffed. I can't.
And how about you, Mia?
I mean, like honestly, same. It's the idea that people who don't know me and like, right, like it was like, you don't know me, you don't love me, you don't owe me anything. Like that they they're interested in my book, they're searching it out, they're enjoying it, they're connecting with it. I had like the wildest like, oh my god, I'm actually an author moment like a week or two ago. I was at this Japanese grocery store called Mitsuo, but it also has like a bookstore inside, and I was looking at like the Ms. Marvel graphic novel, and behind me, I was with my husband, I didn't hear her, but behind me there was like a group of like younger, maybe college age, like Filipino kids, I guess, and they like that bookstore had my book in stock, and I guess one of them was just like, oh, arsenic and adobo, I've heard about this, it's about Filipinos, and then my husband's like, she wrote it. She's the author. And I'm like, what, because like when I'm reading, I completely zone out. So I'm like inside this graphic novel, and suddenly my husband's like spinning me around to face like this group of like Filipino youth. And then they're like, oh my, yeah. And then they're like, oh my God, did you actually write this book? And like, I held up my tote bag, which had like the cover on it. They're like, no way, but like, really, you're the author? And then I held up my phone, and I was like, yes. So like, she bought it and then like asked me to sign it, but it was just like the wildest. Like I could not. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It was like, you don't know me. What do you mean you heard? Like, how did you hear about my book? How does my book exist? You know, besides inside my head and with my family. It's amazing.
And like seeing my book, like the book review in like the New York Times, I was like, oh my God, I wrote a book. It was reviewed by the New York Times and they called it terrific. It was a rave review. That's it. I can and will die happy.
Well, thank you both so much for doing this evening. To recap before we head out, we have been chatting with Nekesa Afia, whose new book, Dead Girls, just came out today. If you order copies from Murder by the Book, we have signed book plates to go with it. And Mia Manansala has been kind enough to chat with us this evening. Her book, Arsenic and Adobo, came out in May. We also have signed book plates to go with it. If you guys missed any part of tonight's chat, you can catch it again on Facebook and YouTube. They will both archive it, so it's up. As I mentioned before, you can go back and see the chat that we did with Mia when Arsenic and Adobo came out. We also have a ton of other great author content out there to see. This has been so wonderful. You know, it's one of the things that's been like you guys talked about, you know, not being able to do like in store and have a launch party and do that. One of the wonderful things about being a bookseller is being able to welcome books into the world and get to see, like Nekesa, just your excitement about this book is just so infectious and it's so wonderful. And it's been so great to just kind of to see you be so excited about it this evening. And it's such a pleasure as a bookseller to be a part of that. And I'm so excited for both of your books to be out in this world. And as you guys said, like people need to go buy them so we get more of them. And thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
I was so happy to celebrate you and your wonderful book. Congratulations.
I'm low-key crying.
Oh, no, I'm tearing up.
Good.
Thanks for having us.
You're going to get me started too, so I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Take care.